Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a carry tier list for patch 7.33c, and before I get into it, you're probably going to be wondering, where have I been? Well, I kind of stopped playing Dota that much after TI. There wasn't really that many patches, or the patches were very boring. It kind of seemed slow. A lot of things happened in real life too that just gave me like no time. So I just took a little bit of a break, but then with the new patch over the last month, I have been playing, but I felt like I needed to kind of catch up on what was happening in the game, just in the pros, in the game in general, before I even started making videos. But now I'm probably going to be starting to make videos again. So today we're going to be starting with the carry tier list for this patch. And like usual, every single day for the whole week, we're going to be doing every single position. So I'll do a tier list for each one. And then I'm going to be starting probably in other videos, my normal guides, all that kind of stuff. So that's just a little bit of a preview of how I'm back, why, all that kind of stuff. I may make a video, detailing all of those things, saying, oh, why I took a break, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure. I may not. Who knows? Anyway, without further ado, let's just jump in to the carry tier list for patch 7.33c. So as usual, I get my data from the trends tab, Dota buff, what's getting picked in the win rates and all that kind of stuff, and Dota 2 Pro Tracker, because I want to see what the pros are doing. And then I kind of mash all that together, give my opinion. This is supposed to be more of a pub tier list kind of thing, not just like strictly pro meta, because you can go to Dota 2 Pro Tracker or watch the pro games and look at what they're picking to see that. So this is kind of supposed to be a pub tier list in that way, and not for the highest rank, 10K or whatever, but just for general Dota. But obviously I have to get my statistics somewhere, and I have to get my data from mainly the higher level play. So anyway, that's how I arrived at this list. Now let's just jump into S tier. So I would say S tier is going to be Medusa still. So obviously Medusa was super broken when the patch first came out, 7.33, and then they did nerf Medusa a little bit, but it really didn't do much to what the hero does and how it functions in general. It's just not as crazy overpowered, but it's still kind of insane. You still have to buy Diffusal. If you just don't have either Anti-Mage or Diffusal, buyers on your team, right clickers that right click a lot, and so they're going to proc Diffusal a bunch and get this hero's mana down, you're just going to lose the game. 100% you're going to lose the game. That's just how it works. This hero is ridiculous. If you have somebody that knows how to play it, or know how to play it, watch some replays, understand what the hero does, and realize that the snake and the mana is just all you need to worry about, and you'll just be unkillable and just kill everything. Unless your team is 100% feeding just every other player on your team just running in and dying, and you're sitting there and you just can't do anything because you don't have enough damage or it's too early in the game, you're pretty much going to win 90% of games if they can't buy Diffusal. Now, the other thing is obviously if you are playing against Anti-Mage or Diffusal buyers, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. You just have to kind of understand how to play safe, and your team has to maybe play around you a little bit, but you can still get away with it because you have all this, you just have so much that can help you with your ultimate, with, even though they do have Diffusal, can they really sit there and hit you a bunch if you're getting a lot of snakes back, if you have Ags, if you have your Shard, if you are just sending the snake out, hitting multiple people. If they are buying Diffusal, they're usually melee, so then you usually can hit them with the snake and maybe multiple of them. So unless you're against a Pango or something, which is really just going to blow you up, it's this hero's still broken. It's still impossible to take her down with just normal spells, normal right clicks. It just feels ridiculous. And then the thing is you get these timings where you just go Manta and you go Butterfly. And so because right click, Diffusal, and Anti-Mage are really the only things that can hurt you and can stop you, if you just buy Butterfly second item and now you have this evasion, nobody's getting MKB that early, it's ridiculous. You just can't die. And then you also do pretty good damage. You can go Daedalus then right after that, or you can obviously go Scotty if you want to be a little bit beefier and get that slow. But this hero is just still completely broken. Very, very good. Obviously be careful if you're picking it. If you last picked it, that would probably be best if you could in the draft, but still pretty broken. I think everyone's kind of understood how and why Medusa is broken now. And then Slark is the next one. Slark's just really good overall for, I think, everything in the patch. They have nerfed his pounce distance on the Ags a few times, but I think really the biggest things that helped this hero in this patch are the fact that his 2 items that he likes to build now aren't just dead ends, and the fact that BKB is terrible. So basically he liked to build Diffusal, and he liked to build Echo Saber. And before you could disassemble Echo Saber, so it wasn't completely a dead end, but Diffusal was 100% a dead end. You just had to either sell it or something, but sometimes you wanted to keep it. So now Diffusal can upgrade. It's not the best upgrade, but at least it upgrades to something, gives you damage, gives you a good dispel for yourself, which is actually pretty nice if you have to deal with a bunch of silences, especially because you're not buying BKB. And that's one of the big things is, even like with Medusa, Medusa can buy BKB, but just isn't typically a BKB buyer. And now with BKB being very bad, Slark is one of the quintessential heroes that like shouldn't buy BKB. Like, you just don't want to buy it if you don't have to, because you have your Dispel and your Q, you have basically 2 ultimates, you have your main ultimate, your Shard, you have pounces to get in and out. There's so many different tools that you have to survive, to escape with 10% health, regen back up, come back to the fight, that kind of stuff. So you don't buy BKB, which helps, and now you can just not have dead end items. And the dead end items, or the new items that aren't dead end anymore, are actually pretty good, at least with the I'm gonna forget what it is, the little hook thing that you bring people in with, whatever. I actually don't buy, personally, I don't buy Echo Saber on this hero, because I want to get a super fast Ags, so I like to go Diffusal Ags. I don't really like to go Diffusal, Echo Saber, and Ags, because I think the Ags is really the thing that's broken. I think this hero is very broken because the 2 pounces are ridiculous. Like, if you know how to play the hero, and obviously you can see I know how to play the hero, you just don't die. You can't die with 2 pounces and 2 ults. You just can't do it. If you just aren't stupid and you don't run in 1v5 and you don't run in when your ults are on cooldown, you pretty much can't die unless you get like doomed. Like it's that's simple. It's really just that simple. And I think the skirmishing meta, people are skirmishing a lot. They don't really know what to do. There's also so much map. So if you need to split push and you're not going to skirmish and you are losing, it's so hard to find you in this map. So Slark is just so good for all of those reasons. Good at skirmishing, wants to fight, really good late game. The items are now really good. Just everything about the hero, it just feels super good right now. So I'm playing him a lot, obviously. I just hope he doesn't get nerfed a lot, but people don't really love to play against the hero, and I know why, but he probably will get nerfed, but sad for me. But, it is what it is. And then, lastly, Bloodseeker is going to be in the S tier, and it's weird because this hero is being picked a lot in pros, and I think it's very good for what the pros want to do, because, his attack speed is very high. He buys Mjolnir, and the BKB is very bad now, so he kind of can attack you through that, still be proccing, still be doing damage. It's just pretty good with all that it wants to do. It's hard to lane against. You're sustaining in lane. You want to brawl. You have a very good ultimate level 6. You just do a lot of good things in this meta. But I just don't know how great it is in pubs, but I'm still going to put it S tier because it's being picked a lot, because it has such a high win rate. I'm going to put it there. I was debating putting it A tier, but I just think it does deserve this high of a rank, only because I think Medusa got nerfed a little bit and Slark got nerfed a little bit as well. And so they're not like as OP as they once were. So I'm going to put Bloodseeker up there just because he's the up and coming guy. I haven't seen him a lot in my pubs. I think he's more of like a high level, high MMR pro kind of hero, because I just, like I said, don't think he meshes well in pubs. He's not like the complete pub stomper. You can get like countered. You can just get run at. You can get run down, all that kind of stuff. But he is very good. And I think I don't even know if people have really found the exact build on him yet. Maybe they have, but I think people are still kind of experimenting with this hero because, I don't think anyone really knows. What does this even do? Like, what does the Ags do? Nobody knows. Legitimately, no one knows. I can't tell you. It's like Pudge Rot, but terrible, but then they just made it better or something. I don't even know. So I think there's still like room for this hero to morph and become better and become good, even though it's very good right now and it's getting picked a lot. So that's Bloodseeker. You kind of might be like, oh, you didn't really tell me much. And that's because I honestly haven't really played the hero. I've watched him in the pro games, and I think it's just very stable. I think it counters some things like Pango, some other heroes that are really good, that are mobile. Like if you get this ultimate on Slark, if you get this ultimate on Pango and some of these other heroes that are very popular now, it's very good. And he just is very sustainable. He's very just solid. I think he's just a really solid carry right now, and that's kind of what makes him just the go-to pick and so good. So that's S tier. Next, we're going to move on to A tier. We have Phantom Lancer. I think Phantom Lancer is kind of on the up and up. The biggest thing that makes this hero super annoying, especially in pubs, is the fact that he has that invis now. Kind of like he used to like 10 years ago or whatever. I've seen it so many times where you're doppelgangering, you're invis, and you just run away, and people don't even like realize, I think, necessarily that you need dust for the hero, or you need like a sentry down, and he just runs away, and someone like dooms like an illusion, or like, people spend all their spells and mana on some illusion that they think is PL because they're not used to him just running away in invis. I think that's a huge part of it. And also, I just think PL is decent in general overall. It's like, I don't know, it just seems like they've kind of been buffing the hero. The hero's just been on the up and up, on the rise, in the sense of that I just have been waiting and waiting for it to be like a PL patch. I don't really think it's there yet, even though he is really good. I'm not seeing it be like, this is a hero picked every single pub, he's completely broken. He is very good. He does have a good win rate. I'm scared if they don't nerf the hero, that he's like, next patch is going to be just the broken PL patch. We haven't really had like a PL is the number one hero, number one carry for like a few years, actually. And so it just feels like it's right around the corner where it's like going to be Medusa level broken. Next, we have Monkey King. I think a lot of these heroes that have like sustain in lane, that have like right click threatening damage, that can be aggressive, they can, farm but also fight. It's just they do a little bit of everything. That's Slark, that's Bloodseeker. Monkey King is another one right up there. He like I said, very aggressive in lane, can counter a lot of good matchups in the off lane, can just not have to worry too much about getting harassed down, can stand his ground and fight early. And like, it is just a skirmishing meta, even though personally I feel like the skirmishing is maybe a bit too much. I think people just don't know what to do, so they just fight. Monkey King is very, very good at that right now. And that's pretty much all to say about Monkey King. I don't think there's anything crazy special, like new about the hero. Unless I'm missing something. There's nothing crazy new or special about the hero that's different than Monkey King. It's just like good for what Monkey King does. Is just good this meta. And then Faceless Void is up here. Faceless Void has kind of just been hovering around decent for a long time. I think there was a couple patches where he was very, very good. And I think this hero is just overall, as a pub hero, just kind of stompy. Like, you will carry in the late game, once you get your 4 or 5 items, and then pretty much refresher, and you can obviously buy the Dispel, the Nullifier, if you need it against certain heroes, that are gonna buy things that hurt you in Chrono. So unless you're against like a Bane or an OD, which these heroes aren't really popular, that can like counter your Chronosphere obviously from outside it, you're just going to like carry the late game. And then because the map is so much bigger, you can like easily afford to get Midas, I feel like, and just jungle and do kind of whatever you want, show up to whatever fight you want. It just feels like you are going to get to the late game unless your team feeds. And at that point, if you just, get good Chronos, wait for your team to go in and Chrono like a couple people, kill the carry, kill the mid, kill like 1 or 2 people with your Chrono, and then eventually, like I said, later you get Refresher. It's just, you are a ticking time bomb. You're eventually going to win the game. And that's kind of like what PL feels like too. It's like, if you're not stopped, you're going to win the game. Now we get to kind of the broken shit of the patch. Like, obviously, Medusa's very good. These are all broken. And I'm not putting all these guys, like, at the top S tier, because I think these are the normal, good, actual carries. And these guys are just basically all broken because Universal Heroes are broken. So even though they nerfed Universal Heroes last patch overall, like the stat, to damage, they were completely broken before that. But because the patch was still new, I think people still weren't really feeling it out and understanding how broken Universal Heroes were. Like, they were just figuring it out. And then even though they got nerfed in the patch, because they kind of were seeing these Universal Heroes be broken, it just wasn't fully figured out. And now it's figured out. Like, Magnus, completely broken with his overpower on himself, and also like the new item, I'm gonna keep forgetting it, the freaking hook, whatever it is, the thing that you hook people with. I'm gonna keep forgetting. Should I just go and look at what it is? I don't do this in videos usually. I'll just like break. Harpoon, yes, Harpoon. With the Harpoon, he loves building Echo Saber. Now he gets Harpoon, which is really good. They actually upgraded his shard. Even though you don't build a shard necessarily on carry Magnus, the shard is a stun now, which that's what it was when it was broken when Spirit won TI. And then, obviously these guys just get so much damage. They just buy stats. They're tanky. They do insane damage. It's ridiculous. Same thing with Wind Ranger, being a universal hero. I think also I don't put it as like A tier carry, even though it is kind of an A tier carry. It's like the best carry. I just don't put it at A, simply because this hero is like a one-hit wonder. It's like I'm going to kill one hero and that's it. And you can still do damage and you can still fight, but sometimes that's not good enough, or, it's not just like they only have one guy you need to target, and then that can be like lackluster. Like, you can fall off like, oh, I can't necessarily just focus fire this one guy and win, or, I can focus fire someone, but it doesn't really feel like that helps that much. That's just why I don't think, and in pubs, that can happen a lot. I really do feel like that can happen. But still, Wind Ranger, completely broken. And so you get like 70 damage in lane. You're just like power shotting people and just killing them like from half HP. You just, people can't contest you, and then you just get your items so quickly, and you just, like I said, you can just delete people instantly, like everywhere. And then your ags is like good now because they did change it kind of back to what it was. You can basically be perma invis while shooting people, unless they obviously have dust, but still, it's like ridiculous. And then Void Spirit, another hero that's a universal hero, and this hero now has like a completely different build. Before, it was relying on his ultimate and like all the spells and comboing them together and amping up their spell damage and all this kind of stuff. Now you don't even care about that. You are now obviously not like Slark in the sense that you're stealing stats, but you're like Slark with the 2 pounces. You have your ultimate just to like get in and put a slow on them and get a right click in, and then your other spells are basically just like defensive, I'm going to live spells, while you're just sitting there right clicking them. Like you're just right clicking them with Daedalus, with your Echo Saber, with Desolator, with your Manta. Like you're just clicking them with insane damage, with crit, with minus armor, all that kind of stuff, and the hero's just broken because he's universal, and it's pretty much just that straightforward. That's all these heroes. That's also Abaddon. I haven't seen as much of him, but his win rate is very good. He's not picked as much, but if you can like play this hero correctly, you can get the right items. I think he's not as like OP early necessarily because he is melee. He doesn't really have that much like damage amp, but if you can get like your Radiance, if you can get your Manta, if you can get the different things that you need, I don't even actually know 100% if he's going Radiance now because of being universal, but still, if you get your items, like I've seen this hero be completely unkillable. Like you just like can't kill him, and then if you do try to kill him, he just kills you. Like it's ridiculous because he's so tanky and he does insane amounts of damage. Universal heroes are pretty much broken, and that's the lesson of the patch for A tier. Next, we go on to B tier. We have Naga and Terrorblade. I think they're just the worst of the 3 like illusion heroes right now. They do have pretty good pick rates and win rates, but they're just not as good. You don't see them as much. They're decent. They don't really do anything different than what they used to. It's just they're pretty good right now. There's a lot more camps. There's a lot more farm on the map, so they can do that. Just like get as much farm as possible. They can soak all the farm, but in doing that, they don't necessarily take all the farm from their allies. So that's why they're really, really good right now, but just not like far and away the best because they aren't really skirmishing heroes. They can do it, but they like to just sit back and farm, which is not really the meta right now. We'll see how that changes or if it does because the map is so big. Alchemist, a hero that was super broken last patch, and they nerfed this hero probably the most in the C patch or whatever it was. Because they just basically changed him a lot in the sense that he used to be all about getting more gold. Then when they changed the patch and kind of made that just a natural thing that he does, then he just got it like a free spell. And then they nerfed the gold gain like a lot. I think it's pretty significant. And now it just feels like, yeah, he is farming faster than people, but not really, because like he's not farming faster than like a Doom. He's really not farming that much faster than Naga or Terrorblade. And then his, like, the new spell he got is not, like, great. Like, it's, like, fine. But overall, then the weaknesses of the hero where he doesn't have great stat gain, like, all this other stuff, where he's just not great overall, just as a hero with his, like, base stats and stuff. He just kind of feels weaker. Like, you can still get off to a good start. You can still carry the game. You can still give people ags, but it's just not nearly as good. He probably got nerfed the most, like I said, because he was broken last patch, or, like, not last patch like 7.32, but the other previous patches, like when the new patch came out, and then they kind of nerfed him a lot over the C or D patch, or the B or C patch. Next, we have Ricky. Ricky's just kind of pretty stable. I think Ricky likes to skirmish. If you can run around the map and, you can get diffusal, you can get pickoffs. If the enemy team is just like stupid and hangs out alone, like you're just going to snowball the game insanely. You have to be careful though, because obviously Dust like hard counters you now, or you don't really buy Manta anymore because that was usually to get the dust off of you, but now there's really no point in that. But there are less sentries, so it's like kind of like a lot. Invis heroes are really good, but then the dust counters them pretty hard. So it's like which one, you just have to be careful about that, kind of adjust your playstyle. But this hero can really snowball the game if you get off to a good start, if you can like hunt the enemy. But he is really snowballing in the sense that if you can't do that, he still doesn't farm. You don't really want to buy Battle Fury on this hero. You don't really want to buy Battle Fury on any hero right now. All the Battle Fury builders are pretty bad, so it's just all about like snowballing, and you can do that. He's definitely pretty good, but just not the best. Clinks, I think it's kind of like a similar thing. This hero is pretty good, but he just has like, I think his spells are a little bit weird. Obviously, people are playing him more as a support just because you can spam in lane. You're a very good laner. The same thing is true as a carry. It's just that you have that weird spell, the Death Pact spell as a carry just feels weird. I wish they almost would just get rid of that and just give him the farming spell back, and then this hero would just be ridiculously broken. I mean, I very much like Clinks. He's a hero that I like to play. I like the old Clinks and even the new Clinks, and now the new Clinks is kind of just awkward, but I still like him. I still think he's pretty good. If you can just like go straight damage and like slow people with your Solar Crest and stuff like that, even getting silence, like you can just straight up carry the game. It's so hard for people to deal with you and to deal with the damage. Like if you get ahead and you stay ahead, you will just melt the enemy team. And it's like a Ricky, it's like some other stuff. It's like a Legion where you just can't be alone on the map if there's a Clinks that has like items, because you're just going to melt to like 4 clicks. Next we have Spectre. Spectre is like kind of similar to Faceless Void, just not as good in the sense that, you know, if you get your items, like if they allow you to get your items, which it is easier to get now because of the space that you have on the map, if you're able to get your items, and even if you're able to participate, which is not like a given, but you can participate early on and get some kills, if you're able to lane, have a stable lane and get your items, like you're going to be very, very, very strong. There obviously are counters in the game, you know, the breaks and all that kind of stuff. But, and the other thing is this hero doesn't love skirmishing in the beginning of the game. So kind of like Terrorblade Naga, like just not the best in the beginning of the game, but, you know, doesn't farm as fast as them. But then I think is actually stronger than these guys when you actually get your items, and you can do that because of the space on the map. Next, we have Muerta. Muerta's not as broken as she was when she was first introduced because the new patch just, I think she got nerfed a bit. I haven't played her that much. She just doesn't feel as strong, but it's kind of one of those things that I think people still underestimate how much damage this hero does. Still a very good laner, I think. And you still are very hard to deal with because of just basically not being able to die except for 2 spells when you hit your ultimate, and you can just like melt people. But just not as good. I think Muerta just does everything that she used to do, just not as well as before, and other heroes have gotten better. Marcy, I don't really know. I don't think she is being picked that much. I think she's just kind of like a rare off, you know, one-off pick, but she's like okay. She's just doing decent. She is just kind of stable. She can do a lot of damage. She can man up on people like she always has. Her win rate's decent, and that's kind of all I can say about her because I don't know too much if there's something that changed. I know they did some stuff with her, like rebound and things like that, where you can do it off of enemies or something. Maybe that's like the shard. I'm not exactly sure. That like changed it a little bit, but I don't think that's much of what this hero is good at. It's just kind of the same thing as always. It's just very much a niche pick because the things that counter her, you know, she's not able to do what she wants to do, go in, just like blow people up, then she's going to feel bad. DK, I only put DK up here because some people are thinking, you probably know who I'm talking about. Some people are thinking this hero is really good, even though it has a very bad win rate and very bad pick rate. And I've actually experienced that this hero is pretty good as like a carry. I think as a carry, it's decent. As everything else, it's trash. You can just, it's kind of like the same as everything else. You sustain in lane, you get a Midas, like they can't punish you. There's so much map that you can just farm, and it's just, then you can pressure towers if you need to. You buy your Manta, and you just like, you can just win the game if you just get to the point where you just are super hard to kill and you're doing a lot of damage. Kind of almost like Spectre and Faceless Void. You don't really think of DK as something like that, but with the Ags and just with the way you build the hero and the fact that you almost like can't get punished for buying a Midas, a lot of times with certain heroes in this game, he's very good. Then Lone Druid, just like a niche pick. If you're a good Lone Druid player, he's like middle of the road right now. Pretty good, like better than average, I would say, but nothing like special. He's just pretty good if you know how to play him. Then we have C tier. These are like pickable heroes, but just not like great. You have Anti-Mage, who is good like against Medusa, and that's it. I mean, if it's just weird because Battle Fury is terrible. Like it just feels so bad. Yeah, you can farm eventually, but just so many games feel like it doesn't matter what you do at all if you buy this Battle Fury, that you're just going to lose. So unless you buy Vanguard and you're going with this aggressive build, but even that feels awkward, and sometimes that doesn't even work. It doesn't even matter because then you just still feel bad. So it's like basically this hero is only good because Medusa is good. So like if Medusa is picked and you can pick Anti-Mage, like pick it. That's like it. That's it. There's not really nothing else to say. Sven is like a Battle Fury guy without Battle Fury. So if you can get Snowbally, you can get like super fat, you can get really big, and do Sven things. You can do the same things that Sven always does. I think that he can fight early, so his like timings are really early, where you know you're pretty good in lane. You can farm pretty quickly. There's so many camps to farm. That's the other thing too. You just like farm super fast. If you just retreat to the jungle, you can just farm your whole jungle like super quickly, and then you know at like 15 to 20 minutes, you're just like fighting before any other carry, but he's just not as good because carries like Slark, carries like Bloodseeker, some of these other carries like can fight early too, and then you're just like, oh great, well, I'm just, it just feels lackluster, but some games he can just pop off. Wraith King is just kind of same Wraith King as he always has been. Nothing super special with him. He just doesn't feel great. He feels better than he used to because he was like really good for a while, and then they nerfed him insanely hard, and they kind of brought him back a little bit, but he's just not getting back to, he's not top tier or anything like that, but he's okay. Chaos Knight, kind of okay too. He can feel strong some games. It's kind of like Sven, kind of like Wraith King. Does the same things he's always done, but just not as OP as he once was. Morphling, if you're like a Morphling player, go ahead. But it's not like something where he's just broken. People are picking him all the time. I still think his Ags is like pretty interesting and pretty cool. And if it's almost like Wind Ranger in the sense of like if you have one carry or one, agility, there's one agility carry on the enemy team that you can just ult. Like you can win the game straight up. And obviously if you're a Smurf, you can do that too. And then you can win the game. But otherwise he can be punished very heavily, I think, this patch. And there's like just more and more, I feel like, things that can deal with Morphling, like as the game just evolves and more items and all that kind of stuff. Morphling it gets harder to play the hero. TA, just kind of okay. Doesn't really do very much. Just feels kind of fragile. Just feels hard to do what you want to do in the game. It's kind of like a little bit good at everything. Farms pretty quickly, can fight. Not the best late game, but pretty decent. Like can blow people up, but it just is kind of not good at any one thing, but not the worst at anything. And then Arc Warden, if you're good at Arc Warden, you can play this hero. I think it's more of a mid, less of a carry, but it's a similar kind of lone druid thing. Like you could probably play carry if you needed to. I just think it's more of a mid just based on how the hero is played. And then we have D tier, which these are all just like terrible heroes that play carry. You can still pick them, but like not really. Ursa's garbage. I mean, I'm a big Ursa player. I've played him a few times. He's trash. Battle Fury's just so bad. This hero feels garbage. Now, I have seen, even before, the person that says Dragon Knight's good, even before BSJ basically said, oh, Ursa, Ursa do the Octarine thing. I have seen Octarine core on, like, some of these heroes, like Ursa, even, like, last patch, like, before 7.33, I saw that. And it's, like, decent, but it's just not enough. I just don't think it's enough for your pubs to make the hero good. It's just trash. I've seen people say, like, oh, some, Yatoro's spamming Juggernaut or something, and it's good, even though Juggernaut's garbage. Like, this hero's bad. It just feels like you don't want to buy Battle Fury, like I said, but then the other things the hero does just doesn't feel good. This hero also gets hard countered by the best offlaner in the entire game. Like, he just duels you, and you just die. Or she duels you, and you just die. Very manly Legion Commander just duels you. So, I don't know, Juggernaut just feels super bad. Also, it feels like this hero, I think they just should take away his healing ward. I know that's like a probably controversial thing, and this hero's a staple, but as the game evolves, this hero just feels like it has less and less of a place, and just is way more awkward than most other heroes. And it's like, I know it's so typical, this is my Juggernaut rant, and so they're not really going to change it, they don't have much incentive to, but it just feels so bad. Like, you just have the spell that, yeah, it gives you health, and it heals your team, and that is good, but it's like dies to one click, and then it doesn't help you carry at all, and it's just so awkward. And now you have these ultimates or whatever, and your ultimate, like, it just feels like it does nothing. As people get more and more tanky, there's that power creep, but just this hero feels so bad for all those reasons. And then when it is good, it just feels like all the things about it, all the things it does are just so overpowered that just feels unfair. Like you just like die instantly to an ult, like the whole team dies or something. I don't know, it's just so weird. Like either it's like broken or just garbage. And I feel like they need to change something about that to make it like more consistent. Drow just not good right now. I think there's too many like mobility heroes that just get on top of you. The Shard used to be good. Now it's like maybe good, but not really. I don't know. Just kind of like weird. They keep adding these like weird shards and ags, like Centaur. Like what even is that? I mean, not to say that it's terrible. This Drow Shard's like decent, but I think the old one was probably better. And now you don't, I mean, do you really want to go ags? I don't know. It's weird. Luna, it's like one of these heroes that even though you can farm pretty quickly, I don't know, it just feels kind of squishy and bad. Like, I think the biggest problem with this hero is like your laning stage kind of sucks. And you don't just want to retreat to the jungle. Like a lot of these heroes can stay in their lane. So you just like auto lose your lane. And then if you don't auto lose your lane, you try to like get aggressive. You have like no spells that let you farm. So it's just like awkward because you want to, if you want to get aggressive, you have to max out your like damage dealing magic spells. And then you can't farm. But then if you want to farm, you just have to do that. And then you're just like going to lose your lane 100%. So it's very weird. Lifestealer, oh, that's another thing with Jug and Lifestealer. They just have like a BKB now. That sucks. It's just terrible. Like built-in BKB is just garbage. So unless they do something to like make that better, It just, these heroes are always going to be garbage, I think. So that's pretty much just a story with Lifestealer. Like, he's okay, but he has a BKB, and BKB sucks. So yeah, that's terrible. PA is one of these heroes that's the same thing as, I mean, it's a Battle Fury builder, which is terrible. And this hero just always feels like it's like the worst of the heroes that if you get to 40 minutes, you win. So yes, if you free farm, if you get to 40 minutes, you will win. But you'll never do that because there's a Wind Ranger. You know, there's a Slark like eating your team alive. There's a Medusa, and then you get to 40 minutes, and it doesn't matter because Medusa also has infinity items, and you just can't kill her because you don't buy Diffusal. Like, that's just how PA feels. Troll, why even talk about this hero? This hero's trash. Stop, change the ultimate. Stop making me attack people when I don't want to attack them. Just stop it. Stop. Like, just let me control. There's so much power creep. The heroes have gotten so much better, like, over the years of what they can do. Like, look at Slark. Slark is good, okay? I love playing Slark. This hero has 2 pounces that go like double range. This hero has 2 ultimates. This hero has a farming spell that like doesn't even hurt himself anymore. Like, it barely. I mean, it does, but like half as much as it used to. Like, think about what the hero used to be. And now Troll, for like 5-10 years, whatever it is, it's just like the same ultimate where he just attacks people and it sucks and you can't do anything about it. Now you can cast spells, I guess, or items or whatever, but it's still terrible. Like, just let him control himself. Why? Just why? I know you want to keep on this concept, but it's garbage. Stop. Weaver just does Weaver things. I don't know. Not good right now. There's really nothing to say about it. I wish the hero was good, but he just sucks. Like, it's just so weird. It's like hard to farm, and then if you can get locked down so easily, then you just die. It's just so super weird. Sniper, not a great carry right now. Just kind of with Drow and these other, like, there's so many mobility carries now that it's just weird and hard. Where Weaver's a mobility carry, but like does no damage. It's just like, feels like he falls off super quick unless you like really snowballing. And then Sniper's like, you know, people are just going to get on top of you and kill you. It's just, I know you have more things to deal with this than you used to, but just, it's pretty bad. Shadow Fiend, people are like trying to make this hero work, and I think there is something there, but as a carry, it just feels so bad. Like, I've never seen a Shadow Fiend do well. He also has a terrible win rate. He just feels awful right now. Pudge, you can still actually play him as a carry. I just actually think it's like his worst role other than 5 position. I think that like the safe lane is his worst place. He actually can still play mid. He can still play 4 and off lane. I think he's actually okay still at those positions. He's better actually as a support now than he used to be. And you can still play him as a carry. He's just not as good. I think it's just, you might as well play him off lane or mid if you're going to do that. And then F tier, finally, we have just, these are all heroes that you just don't play as a carry. This hero's dead. Don't play him as a carry. You would think that he wouldn't be dead because he can TP all around this giant map, but it just doesn't work that way anymore. I don't know. I think that people are underestimating how good this hero is. I think he actually is good because he can TP around, but they did change like the way the damage works and all that kind of stuff on his like TP versus his ult, and it's just a little bit awkward how they changed it. That's dead. Razor, dead. Just everything about the hero is terrible. Dawnbreaker, dead as a carry. Gyrocopter has been dead as a carry for a long time. Tawny, dead as a carry for a long time. Bristleback, dead as a hero in general, just deleted from the game pretty much. And Huskar, not a carry, more of a mid. Actually decent as a mid right now, but just not a carry. So these are all heroes that I kind of kept here because they haven't played as a carry. But, I mean, at this point, Gyro I could probably just remove because he's almost like never coming back. I feel like he's just like more of a support now. But in any case, don't pick these heroes as carry ever or you're pretty much griefing. So, as always, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.